Are verbal promises from job interviews legally binding? Imagine telling a friend you got a new job and they ask if your word is enough. Well, in the world of employment law, it's a bit more complicated than just a handshake. When you go through the hiring process, you might hear promises about salary, benefits, or future promotions. But are those promises legally binding? The answer depends on several factors. Verbal promises made during job interviews or when a job offer is spoken can be considered legal contracts. For a verbal agreement to be binding, both the employer and the candidate must clearly agree on the main terms. This means the employer must explicitly state the job details, pay, and other conditions, and the candidate must accept those terms. If both parties agree on these points, it can form a valid contract. However, proving a verbal agreement is often tricky. And like written contracts, there is no paper trail. If a dispute happens, it becomes a matter of one person's word against the other's. Courts usually prefer written agreements because they clearly show what was agreed upon. Most employment relationships are at will, which means either side can end the job at any time for any lawful reason. This limits how much a verbal promise can be enforced. For example, even if you accepted a verbal offer, you can still leave or be fired without legal trouble. Employers might face legal issues if they make promises about future promotions or raises that they do not follow through on. If an employee relied on those promises to accept the job and suffered damages because they were not fulfilled, they might have a legal claim. But to win, they need to show the promises were definite, made intentionally, and relied upon in a way that caused harm. To avoid confusion and legal risks, most companies put job offers and employment terms into writing. After a verbal offer, employers usually send a written offer letter or employment contract. This document spells out salary, job duties, benefits, and termination rules. Having this written proof helps both sides understand their rights and responsibilities. In summary, verbal promises from job interviews can be legally binding if both parties agree on key terms and accept them. But proving these agreements is often difficult, and enforceability is limited by the nature of at-will employment. Promises about future opportunities are especially tricky and can lead to legal claims if broken. That's why it's best to get everything in writing as part of the hiring process. Employers should follow up verbal offers with written documents to make sure everyone is on the same page. This step is a key part of reviewing a job offer and completing the hiring and onboarding process smoothly and legally.